Hello YouTube, this is Lisa. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I'm doing great. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I would like to welcome you, and if you are a return viewer, thank you for coming back again. I am in the car. It is a lunch hour garden chat, and so I just kind of wanted to give you all an update on how I did in my garden this spring and so far in the summer. Today is August the 1st, and I don't think I've done one since like April, so I just kind of want to go over some things with you all, and so and talk about my garden. I think it was in my chat that I did in January, and I just kind of mentioned to you all to if you're new and you are watching other YouTube channels, especially the ones that's been around a long time or been around a while, don't get intimidated and don't look at their garden and think to yourself, my garden will never look like that. Or, why don't my garden look like that? Especially if this is your first season growing. And don't look at that and you've never started growing and say, I can never do that. You just have to jump on in and do it. You just have to go ahead and start doing it. Start growing. Start sowing seeds and just jump in and do it. I did that when I first started. I went ahead and started because it was COVID and I have nothing else to do with my time. So then after I started liking it. I started loving it. And then a lot of you ask me, what do you put in your soil? What fertilizers do you use? I use the same fertilizers you're probably using. But what it is what you have to do is amend your soil from every season. Between every season, you have to amend your soil. And so when you're watching other YouTube channels, they have been gardening for a while. They have amended their soil. Their soil is so rich, it's like black gold. And they have, for me, I fill my soil up with compost, and especially I make my own compost, so I feed my garden back compost. And so that's what you have to do. You have to feed your garden from the garden. You got dead leaves, if it's not infested with something diseased or something like that, put it back into the garden. Put it in a compost bin somewhere or something like that. Let it break down. Put it in a bucket, add rainwater, and let it sit for a day or two. Then go pour that on your plants or pour that on your soil. Miss Linda Teenog, she has beautiful plants. She do. She's been gardening forever. She's been using super juice forever. I don't know if she started it. I think she did. She's the first one I've seen talk about super juice. Her soil is black gold. It's gold. That's why her plants are so beautiful. And you will get there. You just need a few seasons. You get like 3 or 4 seasons under your belt, and your plants are gonna start to look the same way. Like I said, when I first started, I used to say the same thing, and now I amaze myself. I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. But like in 2022, I started saying I've got to pay attention to my soil health, and you know, I've got to start getting my soil more healthy. And so that's what I do. My sister uses her comfrey leaves. She makes her super juice. She makes her comfrey compost tea. All that. And she pours it on the soil and the plants love it. And in between every season, we are filling our soil up with compost. And that's it. That's it. I use an all-purpose fertilizer, 356, blood meal, bone meal. I've used so much bone meal this summer, but the plants need the potassium. They need the phosphorus to push out fruit, to push out flowers, and it's for the root growth. And that's it. That's how you get your soil healthy. It's not gonna happen overnight. You got brand new soil. It's got to be amended. It's got to go through some seasons, and you've got to take care of it. And that's how you take care of it. That's how you amend it. That's how you treat it, and you will get there. So don't get intimidated when you watch other people's YouTube channels. Just join in and just keep pushing on, and it will happen for you too. At the beginning of the year of 2024, I had started thinking about it all last year too. I had set some goals, some things that I wanted to upgrade and add to, and things of that sort for the garden in 2024. One thing that I wanted to do was install irrigation, and we did that. We started it, and last year I had received a 2-zone timer from RainPoint, and so I got all of the other supplies and materials that I need for drip irrigation, installed everything in the backyard, and then we started on the front yard. And during all of this, we realized we have too much for this one timer. It is a 2-zone timer, and we got all of the backyard on the 1 zone, and the front yard is on the on another zone. So it is too much on the backyard. It needs to be broken up into maybe 2 or 3 zones. One thing is RainPoint notified me again, said they had new timers, and asked if I needed another one, or if I would like to try out one of them. So I said sure would, just in time. Do you have any more 2-zone ones? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna add that new 2-zone timer on there, and just divide it up. Then another thing that I wanted to do was get more citrus, and I did. I got a key lime citrus tree, and I have an Aurora Satsuma citrus tree. So we did that. And my sister, she has some grapes, and they produced some grapes this year, and the birds were eating them. And so she put some netting around them, so she hadn't had any more problems since that. Another thing that we wanted to do was continue to work on our soil. That is just something that you always should do. A lot of you ask me, what do you put in your soil? I'm always putting compost in it. I'm always putting compost in it. And you know, after every growing season, every bed, every pot, every grow bag gets amended with like peat moss and compost, and maybe a little bit of potting soil and fertilizers. And even if it's gonna be like when I come out of summer, my big garden, I'm gonna shut it down. Everything's going to rest. all the beds, all of that is going to rest for the winter, because I don't go out there when it starts to get cold. When the cold comes, and then snow, ice, all that, I don't want to be having to go way out there. And so I don't plant out there. I don't do a whole lot of planting in the big garden, but I kind of think that I'm gonna do something different, but I'll explain that later. But the soil, every time I go out of one season and I'm going into another, I amend my soil, and a large amount of compost goes into that amending. And so if you just started out gardening, just, work on your soil health. You got fresh soil, brand new soil, and just keep adding compost to it and your fertilizers. And once you go through 2 or 3 seasons, 2 or 3 growing seasons, then you will start to see your soil will start to look better, your plants will start to grow better, and then it won't be such a mystery to you anymore, and you'll start to understand what fertilizers you need, and when, and watering, all that. You'll start to understand it better. Everything is new to you at the beginning, but then just keep that in mind. If your soil is good and your compost is good, then your plants will grow good. So that's just, I'm gonna always tell you, put some compost in your soil. And if you can, make your own compost. I make my own. My sister and I, we make our own. But sometimes we run out of it and we go buy more. And if you have to buy it, that's fine too. Just buy some good kind, and you'll search around, you'll shop around and find which compost you like the best, and then you just use that. But when you take dead plants out of your garden, and if it's good, it's not diseased or anything like that, then you want to put it back. And so to put it back is to compost it. And so you can compost in place. You can make a bucket or something like that and put holes in it and plant it in your garden. Put that bucket down in the garden, and then you just put your compost in that, your kitchen scraps or whatever. Put it in that. You want to get the worms in, and you want them to make their castings, and all that is good for your soil. That's what composting does, and that's what you want. You want the earthworms. You don't want them little black ones that eat your stuff up. You don't want them. So I never did. I wanted to get more trellising and more cattle panel. I never did do it. We already have a panel that we're not using. Could have put it up sometime or another, but we didn't. So I never did get any more trellising, but I did replace the PVC pipe for the trellising up the tomato plants. I replaced that with the conduit pipe, electrical pipe. It is stronger, it won't bend, it don't give like PVC does. And those tomato plants, I know they're probably 6.5, 7 feet tall now, and I needed something, and they're heavy, and so they're pulling down. When the wind blows, I'm telling you, the wind is strong and it blows them hard. And so that, and the PVC, the conduit pipes, have held up well. So I'm glad that I was able to get that done. And I wanted to build some structures so that I can put over things, to maybe put tulle or shade cloth over the plants. I never did build any of that, but I threw the shade cloth over the tomato plants, and they it has helped them a lot. It's giving them some shade. Under there is just a few degrees cooler than not shading them. And when you are getting into 3 digits temperatures, the tomato plants can't help, none of them can handle that days on end. And I have subscribers that are all over the place, and one, she's in California, and she's saying that they've had 3 digit temperatures for at least a month. It is hard for your plants to live in temperatures like that, day in, day out. So she says she's been putting shade cloth over them, and it has been working pretty good. Now, I don't know how long they'll last doing that, but so far it has worked well for her. And so when you're new to gardening, you gotta know when to get that shade cloth on. And it's probably like when June, depends on where you are, end of May, 1st of June, it's time to put shade cloth on, because the summer times are not the same as they used to be. And those 3 digit temperatures are hard on the plants. And everything you got out there growing right now, they like heat, but they can't stand 3 digit temperatures, 100 degrees or over. They really like 95 and north of that, then they are suffering. And I said in one of my other videos, the tomato plants, and probably the others too, peppers, and they all probably, I know tomato plants, they will, if they are still living, they will drop all of their flowers. And you've probably noticed, oh, my flowers are falling off. Well, they drop them, and they may drop some leaves, because they're trying to survive. They're trying to survive the heat. And when they're doing that, you just let them do it, because they want to survive. They want to, when it cools down, they want to come back, and they'll put the flowers back on. But they are trying to live. They're trying to survive. So they will drop the flowers, and whatever fruit that may be on it, just take it off and let it do whatever it's going to do. It's nature, and that's what they do. That's how they survive. And then, like I said, when it cools down, they will grow again. They will grow back their flowers and put on more fruit again for you. But that's just what they do, so just let them do it. But back to the structures, I didn't grow. I didn't build any. I just threw the shade cloth on top of them. And like I said, my tomato plants, that's pretty much all I've tried to cover. And they are so tall now, the shade cloth just lays on top of them, which that ain't good either. But it's the only thing that I can do, because they are so tall. And I don't know what I could have built to make them not. But I saw Millennial Gardener, he called it his shade tunnel. You know, you have your high tunnels and you have your poly tunnels or whatever, but he built a shade tunnel. So I will have to think about doing that next time. You know, probably with cattle panel, and make a big arch over them and throw shade cloth over it. And so that's probably what will have to happen. I just don't know. But sometime in the near future or in the far future, I will be doing that. And so that is pretty much it. I'll be saving seeds, and that's pretty much it. Now, there are a few things that I grew this year that I'm not going to grow again. I don't want to. I don't want it. San Marzano and orange icicle. That is what I grew for my paste tomatoes this year. And I don't like how San Marzano grew. And I heard a lot of good things. And I haven't tasted them yet. I've gotten a lot of them. But they're just like, most of them are no bigger than my my cherry tomatoes. And so I don't think I want to grow that anymore. But I will go back to my super sauce, because they grew some huge paste tomatoes. That one, and then in 21 and 22, I grew one called Big Mama. And those got huge, and they were paste tomatoes, and we made so much tomato sauce with those. Both of those. And so next year I'm going back to those, and I'm not changing back. Black Creme is a good tasting tomato, but I don't think I will grow it again. And the Kellogg's Breakfast, I don't think I'm gonna grow it again either. It's okay. I just wanted to see, and I just don't think I'll grow it again. I mean, I like the way it tastes, but I just don't think I'll grow it again. And then I might, the cucumbers, the Market More 76, I might grow that again, but then again I might not. So I don't know yet about that. I might, unless I find another one. But the Beet Alpha, I'm gonna grow it again, because I grow it every year and I love it, and so I'm not gonna ever give it up. But I don't know about the Market More 76. The 123 Rich and Sweet, I'm not gonna grow it again. It's the small striped melon. Miss Gail sent me those seeds, and I appreciate it. It was nice to try them, but I don't think I'll grow those again. She also sent me seeds for the Charentes melons. Those were pretty sweet. They were good. They weren't juicy, but they were sweet, and they taste pretty good. I can't ever catch them before they split, though. That's my problem. And I don't know. They would always split before I could get them. So, but I probably will grow them again. And the other things that is new that I have not tasted yet. We have a mushroom basket. My sister is growing that. Gardener's Delight, Homestead, and there is another tomato that I planted the other day, and I'll put it up on the screen. They have not matured yet, so I don't know how those taste. Also the pineapple, carbon, and Black Beauty tomato plants. I have not tasted those yet. I didn't get any yet. I think Black Beauty I have, but I didn't taste them yet. I don't know. So, but I still have more out there growing. And when I get those, I'll do a taste test, and I'll see how I like those. Okay, so I have I wanted to talk about some of my failures this summer, and I have some, and so I just want to talk about them and what I'll try to do better to not let those happen again. So I will not grow this many tomatoes again next year. The only reason I'm doing it this year is because I wanted to see I mean, when I first started out growing, I knew that there was a lot of different kinds of tomatoes, but I knew that I liked tomatoes, but I didn't know about like the Paul Robeson Cherokee purples and all those kind. Are those like black or purple tomatoes? I didn't know about those, and I didn't know how they tasted. I just knew like the beefsteak kind and the little round cherry tomatoes. I just knew a tomato was a tomato. Like, I didn't know that it's probably hundreds of different varieties of them. And they all kind of have a different taste. I did not know that a tomato could be sweet. I did not know that a tomato could grow yellow. I just knew what Walmart had to sell, and any of the other grocery stores had to sell, and that they did not taste good. They tasted like cardboard or just nothing. And so when I tried the Paul Robeson last year, I thought, oh my goodness, I need to try more. So I did. And that's why I have so many planted this year. And I figured out which ones I like. I will let you all know at a later time which ones it is. And I know I didn't try every one of them. I didn't try everything and that are available. But, you know, I planted 16 different varieties, and then my sister planted 1 or 2 different kinds. And I'll plant my favorite out of those, and then it won't be that many. Another reason why I won't is because I harvest them, I get them mixed up, and I don't know which one is which. So saving the seeds in them is hard because I don't know which is which. It's just been pretty hard to save my seeds in those tomatoes, because like I said, I harvest them, and by the time I get in the house, I don't know which is which because they all look alike. So and plus, well, that's something else. I'll talk about that in a minute. The hornworms. I feel like I've been able to control the hornworms. Going forward, the only basil that I will grow, I mean, we like to eat with basil, we like to cook with basil, and but the main reason we grow basil is to deter the hornworms. And so they got out of control. They're out of control right now in the garden. But the reason is because we did not grow our sweet basil and our Genovese basil. Not as much as we normally do. Those usually are the only 2 varieties that we plant because they are strong smelling. We love them, and the hornworms cannot stand them. They can't stand the smell of them, so they don't come to visit us. They never do. I started gardening in 2020. I had 1 or 2 or 3 tomato plants, and I had 9 hornworms on them. And I just kept pulling them off, scared me to death, and I did not know what was going on. I learned that if you grow basil with your tomato plants. The hornworms, they can't stand the smell, so they don't come. They won't bother your tomatoes. And so in 2021 and 2020 through 2023, we grew sweet basil, and well, in 2021, I had learned about the basil. So by the time we were growing 20 tomatoes in 2021, we grew basil, sweet basil, and I don't think we found any hornworms that year. And then in 2022, we grew sweet basil and Genovese basil, and I think we may have found one hornworm, I think. And then last year in 2023, we just grew sweet basil and Genovese basil, and I think we had one hornworm on the cherry tomatoes, but that was it. Found him. He didn't hardly do any damage. This year, we decided we're gonna try new basils, and we have had just a few Genovese seeds. Used them up. Just a few sweet basil seeds. Used them up. Then we also planted holy basil, spice or blue spice, Thai basil, and red Reuben basil. And then we got all these tomatoes. Okay, so my paste tomatoes, and then I have a whole row of great big pots, and they have tomatoes and plants in each one of them. All of those are out there in the big garden, and they have Genovese, sweet basil, and holy basil, and I think spice, blue spice basil, all growing out there. No hornworms. There are no hornworms out there. Now them little caterpillars, they everywhere. I just don't know what, but they, no hornworms. Over by my shed, all those big tomatoes that I have over there, and the bed next to it where the cherry tomatoes are, hornworms, I think we have found 8 or 9 of them over there so far. And what's growing there is red Reuben, Thai basil over there. And they are, I don't even smell those basils, so I know the hornworms don't, because they are having the time of their life over there. One came and he told his family, and they all over there. And so red Reuben and Thai basil, I'll grow them, but not for getting rid of the hornworm, because they don't get rid of the hornworm, or they don't, deter them. They're not strong enough. They don't smell it. And so I know that was a long story, but that is that's a failure. I'm gonna really just stick to my tried and true sweet basil and Genovese basil, and the holy basil and the blue spice basil, that has been working, because they're all out there in the big garden. And somebody finna get a ticket. They're the police. But they're working fine, so we'll grow them again. Now the red Reuben and just high basil, we'll probably grow them again, but they won't be for that. And that's basically what I want basil for, just to get rid of them. But anyway, another thing that I feel like I failed at was growing my onions. I grew them for the first time from seed last year, and I think I started my seeds too late. It was like November 26th, I think, and I usually transplant them into the garden like early to mid March, and then when I buy them from Dixondale, they're usually big enough, strong enough for outdoors in the garden, those elements, by then, and that's when I usually transplant them. And then around March or June, they're big enough and ready to be harvested and nice, and I usually would have a great harvest. I did not this year, and I guess it is a failure, but it is a learning situation. I started my seeds too late. So by March, when I usually transplant my onions, mine were not big enough and strong enough. They weren't big as the ones that when I buy from you, Dixondale, they weren't that big as theirs usually are. And so I just started the seeds too late. So I am going to start my seeds in either late this month, August, or early September, early to mid September. And I'm just going to do it that way, because they need to be pretty far along to when you go plant them in the garden, and mine just was not, and a lot of them died, and even the ones that I didn't plant in that bed with all the others, and I had them planted around in different places, they weren't growing that well. And then the violet degami ones, they didn't even they were like bunching onions, and they didn't, all the tops fell off of them, and I don't understand those. I'm not growing those anymore. I will not. But that's what I learned. I've got to start my seeds. I need to right now pull my seeds out. I did have some left because I accidentally bought too many last year, and they say that they don't grow that well. Like they won't be so viable the older that they get. So, but we're gonna see, and I'll be looking around, see what other seeds, because I gotta find me a red onion seed, and I don't know, we'll see. As far as like my melons, I don't think it's a failure. I just want to do something different. Like have that one melon mound that I grow from in my melon patch, and I think it may be about 15 feet long, at least 15, and it could be longer than that long. And melons, if you've watched any of my videos and you've seen my melon patch, melons grow all over the place, and it is nothing you can do about that. I don't think it's nothing I can do. And they really need room. Somebody told me that you need to plant one plant every 6 feet, and I don't usually do that, but I need more room. And so I'm gonna probably either make me another mound, or I am going to start growing cantaloupes and the other small melons in containers. I don't want to grow them in containers because they don't grow that big. And I want them, and I'm not trying to win no competitions or anything like that with the biggest melon. But I want the melons to grow to their full potential. Like, if it will grow to be whatever, I want to try and get it to grow that big. I don't want it to grow that big around like a cantaloupe. I don't want to grow a sugar cube that big, and that's all it's going to get. And usually when you grow out of containers, that's how they grow. They grow smaller. Maybe it's because when I was growing them in containers, I had too many in it. I don't know. But I've got to separate it and give my melons more room, and so that maybe I can organize it better and have room to walk and not step on the vines, because stepping on the vines ain't good. I'm sure as many times if you want to go out there and check them all the time, then you're walking out there all the time. I have made a path, but I have stepped all over them, and it just can't be good. If you got a vine, if you got a long vine, you stepping on it all the time, and you got a watermelon on the other side where you've been stepping from the mound, it's got to be killing it. Watermelon, it's got to be killing it. So that's why I feel like I just need to give them more room to grow. I just want to give my watermelons more room. And so that's something else that I want to do different. And another thing that I want to do different is how I grow our butter beans or lima beans. We love the Alabama black-eyed butter bean, and it is a lima bean, and it climbs. It needs trellising. And so the first year we grew them in 2020 or 2022, my sister planted every seed that was in the pack, and it grew. Every one of them came up, and they grew. Oh my goodness, they grew. They got so thick in there, and we had them growing up because we saw when they were starting to grow. I mean, the package didn't say bush, so they just grew up. And when we realized, oh my goodness, we started putting that ladder mesh, those long wire trellis, you make them an arch. We had 3 or 4 of them in it, and they were steady growing. Then it got so thick we were scared to harvest because we didn't know if Mr. No Shoulders was in there or not. And so then finally at the end of the season, I think it was cold. I don't know if it was cold, but it was getting cool, and they were kind of dying back and drying up and stuff. We took the whole thing down. We worked the nerves up. We took the whole thing down, took it all, and moved it over to the patio. And we sat up there and picked them all off. And we were checking, make sure there wasn't no snake in there, Mr. No Shoulders in them. And we didn't find any, but we got a lot of beans. I was able to save a lot, and we were able to store a lot. And so then in 23, last year, I grew them out of the big 17-gallon pots, and they grew up a cattle panel, and they took over. I forgot what else was out there, but they took over that cattle panel, and it was an 8-foot cattle panel, and it grew at least 4 feet of it, and it could have grown more, but we were training it to stay over where it was. Big wind came through and blew the cattle panel off the T-post and fell on the ground. They were so heavy, they couldn't get no air, but we still got a pretty good harvest, and we were scared to harvest from it. My sister wouldn't even go out there. She wouldn't even go over by there because it was just too thick, and you didn't know if Mr. No Shoulders was in there or not, and she wouldn't go out there. And so that's how that was. But this year I didn't grow. I grew them in the same pot, but only one pot, and I think I grew 6 seeds, and they grew up that same cattle panel, and I was able to keep them tamed, like on their end, but I didn't get as many. And so, and whatever we grow, we are growing so many of it because we're gonna either preserve it or we just eat a lot of it. A lot of you ask, why are you growing so many tomatoes? Well, we make tomato sauce. We make pasta sauce, and I'm gonna do that. And we can it so that we have enough to get us through to next summer. And we grow more and we make more. And every year that's what we do. We love the purple hull peas. We grow so many because we like to eat them. We like to put them in our stews and our whatever. And so we like to preserve them. So that's why we grow so many. We grow a lot of green beans because we like to preserve them and get us through the winter. And we grow a lot of, what else we grow a lot of? The lima beans, because we like them and we want to put them in, preserve them. And broccoli, we love that. We grow a lot of it. And so, I mean, just y'all probably think I don't grow a lot of different things, but I grow a lot of the same things. Somebody told me I didn't need to plant so many onions in a bed. Well, where else am I gonna plant them? Because I want a lot of them, and that's where I'm gonna plant them. I'm gonna plant them in a bed, and I'm gonna plant a lot of them. I don't want them. Yeah, I'm gonna use some to plant with my brassicas in different places to kind of deter the pests and all of that. But I want a large amount of onions because we use a lot of onions when we cook. And I want to make maybe onion powder or freeze some so we can have enough to get through the winter. And the garlic. It might look like I don't have enough, but we make minced garlic because we use it. And so I plant a lot of it. I plant what we use. Now, I'm probably in the future going to start growing more. But that's just, we grow a lot of what we do grow because we eat it a lot or we use it a lot. So, I mean, you don't see a lot of different kind of things in my garden that I probably could grow, but we grow a lot of what we do eat. That's what your garden is for you to grow what you like. We like corn, but we don't grow any of it. But next year, if I don't grow so many tomato plants, I probably will grow corn, and that way we can store our own corn. So that's what. Not this year. I tried the Henderson's lima bean. We have not. I've harvested some, but we have not tried any of them yet to see how we like them. Because if we like them as well as we do the Alabama black-eyed butterbean, I will start to grow the Hendersons. Because they're a bush bean, and I don't have to trellis them up, and they won't get so big and bad and all over the place. And so that's pretty much everything that I kind of wanted to talk to you all about. And my biggest problem this summer, I think, is the hornworms. And I will definitely be going back to using my sweet basil and Genovese basils for deterring the hornworm, because the new basils that we used this year didn't work. Now the Thai basil, the red Reuben basil, They don't work for that. But I mean, we may grow them again just because I don't know how they taste. Maybe they taste better or taste good or whatever, and we will grow them again, maybe, but not for deterring the hornworm, because they don't do that. They don't smell. They're not strong enough. The sweet basil, Genovese basil, are strong smelling, and the hornworms don't like them. And when we were only growing them, out of like 3 years, we probably only saw 3 hornworms. Now this year I've seen probably 12 hornworms. And the first year in 2020, when we did not grow basil at all, I found 9 hornworms. So I think it's something to that, and I'm going back to it next year. But that's all I got. And so if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, and then if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload content. So you all stay safe, stay well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.